The Kingdom of Ironstar was a Dwarven kingdom based beneath and around the Frost Hills. After their kingdom fell, Clan Ironstar dispersed across the continent. The Ironstars are one of the storied clans of the Dwarves with a mysterious reputation. So come with me again and delve into another episode of Dwarven Legacy. Borders of the Kingdom of Ironstar. The Ironstar Kingdom existed beneath what are known as the First Peak, Second Peak, and Third Peak Mountains. When the kingdom existed, these three mountains went by different names. First Peak was called Ironstar Mountain. Second Peak was called Northlook. Third Peak was called Wyrmtongue. These three mountains are the southernmost mountains in the spine of the world. They are part of a spur known as the Frost Hills. The mountains are to the north of the river Surburn, close to its confluence with the river Rolven. The Ironstar Kingdom only controlled their holds beneath these three mountains and the land immediately up to the northern banks of the river Surburn. Mithral Hall, which still stands to this day, sits in the base of the Fourth Peak. Mithral Hall was a contemporary of the Kingdom of Ironstar. Blingdenstone was also contemporary, but the relationship the Ironstar dwarves had with the Deep Gnomes was secret. Hidden tunnels and shafts from Blingdenstone led up into Ironstar Mountain. These passages up from the Underdark still exist to this day, but only the reigning monarch of Blingdenstone and their heir know of these routes. This knowledge remains a guarded secret should a time emerge when Blingdenstone needs to evacuate up to the surface. Symbol of Clan Ironstar. The Ironstar clan, like most Dwarven clans, have their own symbol. While it is not stated outright, I imagine it was the symbol of the Kingdom of Ironstar as well. Their symbol is a white four-pointed star over a black anvil. History of the Ironstars. The Ironstar Kingdom was established in -2919 DR by the Ironstar clan. Like the many shield dwarf nations settled in the north of Faerun, the Ironstars came from the great fallen realm of Shanatar in the southwest. Of course, one of the Dwarven kingdoms of Shanatar still persists to this day, but that's an episode unto itself. The Ironstars, and thus their kingdom, built up a reputation. Their ability to enchant their forged items was said to be better than any other dwarves who came before them. The Ironstars also developed a supremely hard but light alloy called Darksteel. I will touch on the features of Darksteel in a little while. As a result, the Ironstars became quite rich. The kingdom is regarded as one of the preeminent Dwarven kingdoms of old, despite the small size of the actual kingdom itself. Gnomes and halflings traveled on barges along the river Surburn to trade with the Ironstar dwarves. From there, they'd take the Ironstar-made armor and weapons to trade down south along the Sword Coast. In 207 DR, the year of the Majestic Mace, the Ironstar clan was shattered and reduced to their last numbers when the Ironstars made their last stand upon the stone bridge. The clan's remnants fled south, where they would later become known in the realm of Felorm. You may also see Felorm referred to as the Realm of the Three Crowns or the Fallen Kingdom. A key reason for the Ironstar's downfall was the king's inability to hire enough mercenaries to hold off the unrelenting orcs attacking the kingdom. I won't go into the particulars of Felorm, only to say it was founded when an elven king, human king, and dwarven king formed a shared kingdom though it is worth mentioning that halflings and gnomes had representation with their own dukes. Phalorum did not last long, forming in 523 DR and collapsing in 615 DR. When Phalorum collapsed, it was believed that the Ironstar clan died out. Yet stories passed down through the generations speak to the Ironstars living secretly in isolation. Some locations the Ironstars may be are Everesca, living amongst the elves there, in secret caves on the island of Mintarn, or beneath Mount Halimbrar. Clan Ironstar after the ruin of their kingdom. The kingdom of Ironstar itself still lies in ruin. However, the halls of First Peak, otherwise known as Ironstar Mountain, are the lair of an ancient silver dragon called Dargentum, aka the Dark Steel Drake. Past this dragon simply just being named, I could not find any further details about Dargentum. Through the sources, we see that Clan Ironstar still persists to this day. However, the clan has done a good job obscuring their tracks. Typically, members of this clan go about using aliases. Myth Glaurok was formerly a city of the ancient Erlani elves. Its ruins stand along the river Starsilver, which streams out of the Nether Mountains. For those of you who are watching this episode, I'm not sure which tributary is the river Starsilver on the map, so I'm picking one of the tributaries and going with it. We are interested in this elven city because of someone who helped to raise the Mithral around this city in the distant past. An individual named Isinghar Faerun, not the continent, but Faerun spelled Feyrune, Ironstar. Isinghar was a dwarf, a person of mixed dwarf and elven ancestry. You can find a couple mentions of dwarves of mixed ancestry with other humanoid groups, but they are few and far between. Isinghar was noted to be a rune carver and archmage of Amarindar. Using context clues, I think it is likely that Isinghar's parents, grandparents, whatever the case might be, was part of Clan Ironstar who came to live in Amarindar after the kingdom of Ironstar fell. It doesn't say what gender Isinghar was, so that's open for interpretation. Another mention of an Ironstar from Amarindar is Cloth Ironstar, who we will mention not too long from now. His name is tied to a magical helmet. If the name seems familiar, his name came up in the Amarindar episode. In the adventure module Princes of the Apocalypse, a petrified dwarf stands beneath the village of Red Larch. He is found in a location known as the Tomb of Moving Stones. Inscribed on the frame holding together the petrified dwarf is, quote, Petrified Ironstar ? Dwarf, found in 1459 DR in Red Larch Rest Quarry in broken condition, end quote. When the humans of Red Larch unearthed the Tomb of Moving Stones, they found the long-buried remains of ancient miners who must have perished during a collapse. Red Larch does not stand in the former boundaries of the Kingdom of Ironstar. It does stand in the old borders of Basilmer, another Dwarven realm, though Basilmer stands out for being a Dwarven realm that existed primarily upon the surface. This place is called the Tomb of Moving Stones because a couple of the chambers served as workshops for stone carving dwarves from Basilmer. These chambers were enchanted with levitation magic to aid the stone carvers in moving and manipulating large slabs of stone easily. How they did this has since been lost, though the stones will still float in the air if placed in the right spot. If the note written on the petrified dwarf is correct, what was a dwarf at Clan Ironstar looking for down here? It might be that this Ironstar dwarf knew something that the locals of Red Larch do not. Perhaps how to manipulate the stones. Moving along, Tauren Ironstar is the main character in the standalone novel The Gilded Rune, written by Lisa Smedman. This book takes place in 1480R during the 4th edition era of the Forgotten Realms. Throughout the novel, there isn't a ton to be said about the Ironstar clan itself. Frankly, there isn't much at all. Torrhen has a couple Ironstar identifiers on himself. First is a set of bracers with a single star on each of them, likely the 4-pointed star associated with Clan Ironstar. Next is the Darksteel Mace. It functions just as it mechanically does in the tabletop game. Torrhen's story is unique because he believes he is a dwarf soul trapped in a human body. This aspect of him is a central fixture, if not the central fixture, of the story. His human parents, who run a store up on the surface along Underchasm, came into the possession of this Darksteel Mace. When their shop was threatened, a younger Torrhen, who formerly went by David Ralton, took up the mace and through some unknown means knew the Dwarven command word to activate the mace when striking the assailant. This event started Torrhen's discovery of his true identity, or at least what he believes to be his true identity. Torrhen does end up perishing at the end of the book as he sacrifices his life for Dwarven kind. Torrhen's soul makes his way to Moradin's divine realm, where he has a conversation with the head of the Dwarven pantheon. While nothing is confirmed as to whether Torrhen was a dwarf stuck in a human body all along, Torrhen is personally thanked by Moradin for his valiant sacrifice, and Torrhen's soul is recast to be a dwarf in his next life. While the novel did not spell out any deep secrets or lore about Clan Ironstar, it has plenty of insight into Dwarven life and a few of the Dwarven faiths. I do think it is generally a good book, and I do recommend it. Lisa Smedman wrote a short story for the Wizards of the Coast website. I provided a link to this piece in the episode description. If you read through it, you can see the individual telling the tale was clearly the inspiration for the later Torrhen Ironstar, just he doesn't go by the same name. I'm not sure if Lisa got some information twisted because she speaks to how Oromikos has a presence in Underchasm. Those of you familiar with your geography might know that Underchasm is leagues away from Oromikos, situated where the Great Rift once was in southern Faerun. All that to say, I don't want to fully write off this piece because its errors or how the main character wasn't quite yet Torrhen Ironstar as we came to know him in the novel The Gilded Rune. Perhaps not canonical, I do believe it can still be inspirational. The short story tells of how Moradin Ironstar, a dwarf soul stuck in a human body, encounters two fellow Ironstar dwarves. While exploring the depths, Moradin finds another Ironstar who has been reborn into a non-dwarf body, a drow woman who is a revenant searching for her lost remains to be put to rest. Moradin found her skull and reveals where her remains may still be found. Another Ironstar mentioned in the novels is an adventuring companion of Chandril Chasseur, Delg Hammerhand. Delg, like many Ironstars, hid his true identity behind a false clan name. Delg's true identity is first hinted at in the novel Crown of Fire, when he presents what is likely a warhammer made of dark steel to Chandril. Though he does not identify it as such, he does say it was a warhammer made by the Ironstars. Chandril draws the magic out from the warhammer and absorbs it to power her spellfire abilities. Delg is called out as an Ironstar later when he dies in the novel, but this information is shared by the narrator just with the reader. He's also said to be from the dwarves of the Mintarn Mountains. If you recall, the island of Mintarn is rumored to be one of the locations Clan Ironstar lives in seclusion. To me, this adds truth to this rumor. My personal belief is that Clan Ironstar exists in all three of the rumored locations, if not more. Later on in the novel, Mert the moneylender pulls from Delg's pack a chain with a small amulet. The amulet is that of a white star above a black anvil, the symbol of Clan Ironstar. Locations in regions of note. The stone bridge crosses over the Desrin River. It is a marvel of Dwarven architecture that still stands despite the passage of time. It is shaped like an arch that arcs from one bank of the river to the next with no pillars or reinforcement to the structure. It is made completely from fused granite with no wall or railing along its sides. It is 2 miles in length and rises up to 400 feet at its peak. It is only 15 feet wide. It stands by itself with no building by it or road that runs towards it. Dwarves will not allow anyone to put up any structures around it or control who passes over it, given its holy status. The dwarves of Ironstar did not build the stone bridge. Rather, it was constructed by the Dwarven kingdom of Beselmer, which long predated the Ironstar kingdom. It is apt to say that the stone bridge is a site of tremendous importance for all dwarves. It is held to be a sacred site to Moradin, and through Moradin's blessing, the stone bridge holds still to this day. It is a popular pilgrimage site for the dwarves. Moradin's avatar appeared here in defense of the Ironstar clan. When the Ironstar dwarves were fleeing from their kingdom, they were pursued by orcs and trolls. Their king, King Davros Frostbeard, and what warriors remained, held off their pursuing assailants as the rest of the Ironstars fled south. Here on the stone bridge, King Frostbeard was mortally wounded by the assailants as the orcs passed by him to harry the fleeing common folk. With his life waning, the king made his way to the apex of the stone bridge, and there called out in prayer to Moradin to protect his people. King Frostbeard then fell down into the river Desserin below. With the sourceless sound of the clang of metal, Moradin's avatar manifested on the stone bridge, wreathed in flame, standing 20 feet tall. This avatar splashed down into the water, picking up the body of King Frostbeard. From there, the avatar charged at the orcs. No orcs managed to wound Moradin, as Moradin easily brought them low with his warhammer. For the rest of the day, any orc who came to attack the fleeing Ironstars were pushed back and defeated by the avatar until no more of them came. Moradin's avatar left with the sound of clanging metal and a flash of light. On the ground, the Forge Father left Frostbeard's crown and warhammer. This crown became the crown worn by the Dwarven King of Falorm. Relics of Note. The Pegasus Helm of Cloth Ironstar, mentioned in 2nd edition's Hellgate Keep and 3rd edition's Player's Guide to Faerun, was worn by, quote, the legendary scout Cloth Ironstar. This beautiful winged helm grants a magical +1 bonus to AC in 2nd edition. As the name hints at, it can summon a translucent Pegasus mount twice per day. The Pegasus is strong enough to carry 2 human-sized creatures. The Pegasus lacks any true intelligence and does not think for itself. Rather, the Pegasus may take instructions telepathically from the person who wears the helm. 3rd edition removes the bonus to AC. It spells out that the summoned Pegasus lasts only for 3 hours. If you look at the image, you can see a star on the helm. It is a 5-pointed star. That could have been a miscommunication between the artist and art director if they were not given direction to put a 4-pointed star on the helm. Clan Ironstar maces have a storied reputation, though are rarely found. These maces are made entirely from dark steel. As the legends go, these maces can destroy armor, though that's not functionally a mechanic in the current edition of D&D. These maces are mechanically described in 2nd edition's Dwarves Deep. They deal double damage, in other words 2d6 rather than 1d6 damage. Since they are made from dark steel, they are unbreakable. Finally, they have the Shattering Strike ability. This ability can be activated once every 2nd round. When struck, a creature is dealt 2d12 damage. There are also 2 other penalties that can be applied with this ability to the opponent. A creature needs to save or be stunned. Full suits of metallic armor also risk shattering and falling off if the armor itself fails a save. Narratively, when a shattering strike lands, the mace emits a booming sound similar to thunder. Dark steel is the alloy the Ironstar Kingdom created. Dwarves longed to craft with dark steel for generations, as the steps to create it were thought to be lost to history. That was until certain ancient Dwarven texts and manuals were found and deciphered in the 1370s DR, aka the 3rd edition era. During their adventuring, some have even found ingots of dark steel that were never shaped. Meteoric iron is required to make the alloy. The iron is then treated with special oils to turn it into dark steel. The alloy is worked like steel, though it is said to be lighter in 2nd edition, but just as heavy as steel in 3rd edition. Dark steel has a glassy purplish hue to it, but when you polish or cut into it, it has a silver hue. If a certain combination of oils treat the dark steel, the alloy can melt easily, even in a small fire. From there, the molten metal can pour into molds and be recast into a new shape. The dark steel does not lose its intrinsic magical properties despite this process. The alloy is an easy metal to enchant, even if previous enchantments are placed on the piece. Given its history and properties, it is a dream material for any Dwarven smith to work with, and they will pay extremely well for a single ingot. Dark steel is said to absorb any electrical energy it comes into contact with in 2nd edition. It does not conduct that energy into the person holding or wearing it, though 3rd edition spells out that it grants acid resistance when used to craft armor, then inflict electrical damage and greater effects when forged into weapons. As you can see, there are some clear discrepancies between what 2nd edition and 3rd edition have said about darksteel. Despite darksteel craftwork proliferating into greater Dwarven culture after being absent for generations, I personally like to think the hidden enclaves of the Ironstars have been working darksteel during their entire time in hiding. In Dragon Magazine issue 245, there is an article that features several magical chants performed while forging items. One of the chants is called Dark Alloy, which will turn simple iron into this dark alloy, or as the text describes, dark steel as it is known in the Forgotten Realms. This article is written from a setting agnostic perspective. I will say that the properties of this dark alloy are too different from dark steel to equate them one-to-one in my opinion, though the writer does call out that it is called Dun Calcor in the Dwarven tongue. One possible relic with a connection to Clan Ironstar is a blade held by the Holy Order of the Knights who served as the royal guard to the last king of Impiltur. The Knights of Imfrest II have 7 magical blades wielded by those who guarded the old kings of Impiltur. One of these blades is called Orandarag, which is translated to the Ironstar blade. It is possible the moniker attached to this blade is just coincidentally called the Ironstar blade. Personally, I like to think it is more likely the blade was fashioned by Clan Ironstar and is made of dark steel. The kingdom of Ironstar was a contemporary of old Impiltur. Lastly, in the Horde of the Dracolich, Char Dan Serovetriol, aka Ebondeath, is a valuable runestone. This runestone is made from dark steel. On one side is the symbol of Clan Ironstar. On the other is the tale of King Frostbeard's stand on the stone bridge, spelled out in Dwarven runes. As you can see, Clan Ironstar has a storied past in the Forgotten Realms. It might be that some greater destiny awaits them in time, but for now they lie in hiding, remaining a legend dwarves retell at their clan holds. Next episode we will pivot back to the Seldarine with our episode on Cyanine Moonbow. The next Dwarven legacy to follow that will be on the ancient Dwarven kingdom of Gauragar and Mirabar, which currently exists inside the old borders of that kingdom. Until next time, rock and stone, hammer and axe, never break, Never yield.